I think our culture stops us from becoming rich or even wealthy. Now, before a lot of you start going crazy at me saying, well, culture is very important and so on, well, these are just my opinions through life experience and observations. So this topic is up for discussion. So if you have any comments, please leave them in the comments box below. But anyway, here's my take on this. So the whole journey starts from school. So you're a child, and from what I hear growing up, a lot of parents say, well, if you go to school and you do well, you are expected now to take care of yourself, take care of your parents. Is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. But I think sometimes what we consider taking care of our parents is a bit overboard sometimes, and I'll explain why. So anyway, so we have, let's say, a boy and a girl. They're going to the same school, and you both pass, you both have jobs and so on. But when it comes to starting your life as a young man, then this is where things start getting complicated, because as a young man, you are expected now to marry. And while we're on the topic of marriage, the marriage is exorbitant. I mean, the monies that you're charged for the dowry or the lobola, whatever you call it, is quite a lot of money. Sometimes it can take you many years for you to get that kind of money and pay it off. Of course, I know it's not needed there and then as cash, or finish paying it off there and then. But of course, it's a debt that needs to be paid. So what happens now is you've just started school, maybe at 27, 30 years old. You're just starting off. And we know that here in Zimbabwe, the salary is not a lot. I mean, for you to be paying 15,000 worth of lobola or bride price. Now, you may think, well, it cheapens the woman if you charge a little bit of money. But in my opinion, the issue of the bride price or lobola, or whatever it is, the way I see it, it should be a way of showing your appreciation to the family where you're marrying to, not a way of actually making them rich or making them a lot of money. And some of them even come up with words like, oh, we sent our daughter to school, therefore this is the price that goes with it because we paid a lot of money for school fees. Well, the guy also, if he's successful, has also come from parents who's paid school fees too. So why is it seems like the guy is being punished? Now, the punishment comes in the sense that, okay, the lobola thing is quite a bit of money. Sometimes, depending on where you marry, you are expected to do a white wedding, okay? Now, I have a lot of issues with that because that's not a Zimbabwean culture. This is something that is taken from the English culture. And from what I know, the white wedding situation, it's the parents of the woman that actually pay for everything. Is that how it's done here? Absolutely not. And to me, this is a way of just showing people that my daughter is married, you make it lavish, and it's the guy still that's expected to pay a lot of money. So you can see, I mean, the expenses here. You have your own traditional monies that you need to pay. You also have the white wedding, and you are expected as a son-in-law to be chipping in here and there to help out the family where you've married. Now, do you see how already we have three big expenses that you are covering? Now, while we're at that, you're also expected to take care of your wife. You're also expected to take care of your kids. Now, if you've gone to a decent school, you got a decent job, who wants to not upgrade their lifestyle depending on how they grew up? Of course, you want a decent lifestyle. You want to live in a nice area. You want your kids to go to a decent school. All that comes as a price. Now, how much is this guy earning for him to be able to achieve all of this? Of course, some may have a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, just generally speaking, the load on the guy is just way too much. Now, remember, I mentioned that this guy is also expected to take care of his mom and dad, and to an extent, his own brothers and sisters, or even extended family. So there's no time to save money. There's no time to save money. Just think about it. You've got your in-laws to think about. You've got debt over there. You also have your parents to take care of. And you also have your own family to take care of. It's hard enough to make sure that your children and your wife have a decent lifestyle. Later on, extended families. So already it's a recipe for disaster. At what point are you going to be in a situation where you are comfortable enough to afford all these things? It's a very long time. It's a very, very long time. So with that said, the expectations are very high. It even gets more complicated when you go to the United Kingdom. I mean, if the moment you say or you get married to someone and they know you're in the United Kingdom, that's it. Or you're in America. That's it. You're in in big trouble because they are now basing that lobola or bride price on where you are. And the expectations are crazy. Now, of course, we've done videos here where we talk about how difficult it is to live in the diaspora. It's not easy. You're expected to cover your expenses, but at the same time, there's crazy expectations back home. Now, as a young man, at what point do you start generating a lot of money to save? And at what point are you going to have enough money to put down for savings or even generational wealth? It's close to impossible. So this is where I say our culture, it stops us from becoming wealthy and successful, because now you're going to end up in a situation where you're paying for all these things, you get frustrated, and before you know it, you just say to yourself, you know what, I might just buy myself a car and just enjoy it. Or you're forced. Sometimes you have parents who force you to go into debt. I know we've done this video where we talked about debts. I'll link it in the video description below. Debt can be a good thing, but 99.9% of the time, it is absolutely not good, because you're just putting yourself in a situation where you are paying money, chimbadzo, you're paying more than what you borrowed. So that in itself is a challenge. So you'll find that sometimes to meet all these obligations back home, you have to borrow money just to shut people up. My experience when I left Zimbabwe to go to the United Kingdom, I had so much pressure from my uncles, my aunties, because a lot of people were buying combis, they were buying trucks, they were buying stands, and so on. But in my case, I could not do that. Now, the reason is I wanted really to focus on my family and make sure that my kids get a very, very good quality of life, very, very good education, and that comes at a very big price. I spent so much money, I invested all that in my children so that tomorrow they won't depend on me. And I wanted to also make sure that they don't go to schools where the league tables are so low that they end up going into drugs or end up going into unnecessary things. So we gave them a quality education, and thank God, the children now, they're doing quite well. So that's where the money was going. But quite a lot of Zimbabweans at the time, they were investing back home, buying stands, buying cars, buying lorries, buying trucks. But I couldn't do that. But to try and explain that to anyone over here was difficult, because they just saw me as someone who wasn't working hard enough or who wasn't doing much. So it can be a very big challenge. But luckily for me, I was able to earn money through my online business, and that made me in a position where I could start planning for my retirement. But generally speaking, a lot of people are stuck in that situation where you need to spend so much money back home. I know some people have to spend money on extended family, pay for their school fees and so on, and while in the meantime they have to work like crazy to pay off these debts. So that's the way I see it. I think our culture is, it stops us from making a lot of money, and it's very sad. If I look at other cultures, it's different. People help each other. Even in the case of saying buying houses, family members put their money together, help the first person to get their house. These are Pakistanis. I know a few people were telling me this, a few of my friends. So that is a totally different way of looking at things. Now that I have this information and I'm talking about this, how am I going to go about things? Well, in my case, I would not want to put pressure on my kids to buy me anything or expect anything from my children, because I know how difficult life is. When it comes to my daughter, what I would want for her is someone who is respectful, someone who is hardworking, and I would not even mind helping my son-in-law to be stable, because at the end of the day, it's making my daughter stable as well. So if I'm in a position to help them stabilize their life, I'll definitely chip in. I don't have a problem with that, and I wouldn't really need to charge crazy monies to that young man who's marrying my daughter, because I know my daughter needs to be in a position where she's well taken care of. And if I charge all these crazy monies, it's going to put a stress on their relationship and the money situation too. So that's something I'm mindful about. And as I mentioned, when it comes to my children, I want them to be successful, and if I can, I would want to let them start off their life on a very good position. If I had the money, ways, I would even buy them each a house so that at least they don't have to stress with where to stay and rentals and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's how I would view things. Obviously, this is different, and people look at things in a different way. But that's how I look at life, and that's how, if things were like really good and things go my way, that's what I would like to do. Because you can imagine, in my case, I had to start from zero. I had to start from zero because it's not like my parents left me with a house and a bit of money in the trust fund or anything. No, everything was from scratch, and I still also help my family. Not that I'm complaining, but it's something that's expected, and I can do it comfortably. But for a lot of people, it's a challenge, and this is my opinion, and that's what I think our culture tends to do to us. You know, it stops us from being successful. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't help your family. I'm not saying don't do this or don't do that. No, this is just a basic discussion, because obviously I know a few cultures out there where, you know, it's totally different to how we do things as Zimbabweans. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.